Welcome to the Park2Park podcast, where we compare theme park offerings from coast to coast. We don't always see eye to eye, but in the end, we'll try. I'm Alli, and as always, that is CJ. I'm joined by CJ. She's my sister. She's cool. She's not a bat.
Hello, I'm here.
How are you, CJ?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay, all things considered.
All right.
What we're not going to talk about this week, though I am going to just mention it, you finished the Coast to Coast Challenge recently.
I did. Yeah, the first opportunity since 2017 to earn the Coast to Coast Challenge, and it is done.
Congratulations. That's our next episode.
It is, yes. It sure is.
Today we're going to talk about what we teased like 3 episodes ago. We are going into the MCU, the real MCU, the Mickey Cinematic Universe. We are going to talk about Philharmagic, followed by Runaway Railway, and then the Silly Symphony Swings, which doesn't really have a pair in Florida, but we're going to talk about it anyways.
Sounds good.
Yeah, anything you want to add before we get started, CJ?
This is not related to Disney, but I'm obsessed with this video game called Pal World.
Never heard of it.
If you play it, it's an interesting game, and I can't stop thinking about it, and I can't stop playing it. So if any of our listeners are also playing Pal World, please reach out to me because I am obsessed.
Can we get some context? Like, is it a PC game, console game?
I don't know if it's on console, but it's definitely on PC. I think it might be on Xbox too. I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, it's like Pokemon, but you can give weapons to your pals and they can fight each other and you can kill them. And you also capture them to make them work on your land. So they like farm for you and produce things for you. As long as you keep feeding them, they keep working. So
sounds an awful lot like slavery to me, but okay.
It's cartoony and goofy and a lot of fun.
I have been playing a lot of Stardew Valley recently.
Yes, it's like Stardew Valley mixed with Pokemon, mixed
apparently.
with like Zelda and a survival game all in one.
Have you ever even played Stardew?
Yes, I have it on my desktop.
That doesn't answer the question.
Yes, I have played it.
Okay.
It's okay. I prefer Pal World.
All right, we have 2 types of people over here. We have Alli, who plays Stardew Valley, a relaxing farm simulator, and CJ, who plays Pal World, a violence simulator.
Okay, but you can capture this pal that looks like a penguin, and then you can get a rocket launcher and launch the penguin at other things, and it explodes. Like, that's so cool. Alli's speechless.
What is wrong with you?
To me, it's interesting and funny.
Do you need to seek professional help?
Maybe okay. I do.
All right. Well, professional help aside, let's start with something we do know a lot about, which is the Magic Kingdom and DCA and Philharmagic. So, starting with Philharmagic, CJ, what's your favorite thing about the Magic Kingdom Philharmagic?
It's a good place to take a break in the air conditioning.
Well stated. In addition to that, I would like to include that it does a very good job of surrounding you and being a little bit unexpected in that it does.
Yes. Can I add on to something about taking a break in the air conditioning?
Yeah.
Okay. As we know, the Florida parks get very hot in the summer and very crowded. And I feel like Magic Kingdom especially does a really great job of making sure that pretty much every land has some sort of show that you can go sit in for a long time in the air conditioning, right? I mean, we've got Country Bear Jamboree, we've got Hall of Presidents, Carousel of Progress, and Mickey's Philharmagic. So I think it's filling a gap in Fantasyland that might be there if they didn't have that attraction.
So with DCA, do you have the same feelings?
Yes, but like in addition to that, when I walk in that theater, I can still see all the Muppet stuff in my mind, you know? That used to be where Muppet Vision 3D was. So, you know, I've seen how they've redecorated it, but to me, it's still the Muppet Vision Theater. So a lot of good memories in there for me.
Excellent. I have a lot of those same good memories, but I don't like Philharmagic being here. My best thing about this is that it's not dead space. They're using the theater for something, and
Right.
I appreciate that they've at least filled it in with something. If it can't be the Muppets, at least it's still being used.
Correct. I agree with that.
All right, so let's start with opening dates for Philharmagic at the Magic Kingdom, CJ.
September 30th, 2003.
All right. In DCA, it opened on April 26th, 2019, replaced two former attractions that were there.
Yes. So for some fun facts, this attraction is actually also found at Hong Kong Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, and Disneyland Paris.
It's a
I was
continental.
Yeah, I was surprised to find that out. Walt Disney Imagination collaborated with Walt Disney Animation Studios for this attraction. The different divisions of Disney don't always talk to each other when they're building things, so this was a really cool collaboration. It was directed by George Scribner, who was the director of the movie Oliver and Company. And then Glenn Keane returned to reanimate Ariel in 3D, and Nick Rainier returned to animate Lumiere in 3D. So some of the original animators came back to work on this attraction.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, in 2021 and 2022, additional scene based on Coco was added to the show. And there are actually two different voice actors for Donald Duck. Clarence Nash was the original Donald Duck actor, so they pulled archival recordings for most of the performance. And Tony Anselmo, who's been the actor since 1985, did 5 lines for Donald that they couldn't find archival footage of. So yeah, and then for Magic Kingdom specifically, this attraction is shown on the largest purposely built 3D screen ever made, and it's 150 feet wide.
Wow, that is bigger than I expected.
Yeah, so I don't know if something has surpassed that in width as far as 3D theaters go since 2003, but at least at the time it was the widest 3D screen.
I'm wondering how big the Circle Vision theaters were, and if somebody would make like a 3D video on those, if it would surpass it.
That would be so awesome. Can you imagine a 3D Circle Vision?
That would be crazy.
I would love that. That's a great idea.
Disney.
Imagineering. I hope you're listening.
Yeah, Disney, hire us.
Because remember, like, several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, they said there was a new Circle Vision movie coming to China, and it's still reflections of China.
They're working on it.
They're working on it.
It's fine. The only fun fact we have for this is that it's hosted where Muppet Vision 3D used to be in DCA.
Yeah, there's not a lot of fun facts for this attraction.
RIP.
Yep.
So, because it's hosted where Muppet Vision 3D used to be, it is in Hollywoodland in the Sunset Showcase Theater on the left side behind Award Wieners. So the first iteration was Muppet Vision 3D, and that was an opening day attraction. Muppet Vision was replaced by, for the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along celebration, which ran from January 7th, 2015 to April 17th, 2016. And I never saw that.
I don't think I did either. I was working there during that time. So I went to the park a lot.
But you also developed a deep-seated hatred for Frozen.
I did. I really did. But I remember I worked a media event where we did like this Frozen celebration thing. Or maybe it wasn't a media event. Maybe it was like they do contests for cast members where you win experiences in the park.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was. I got to go into where Who Wants to Be a Millionaire used to be, and they had some Frozen stuff in there. I remember eating like shaved ice, and I feel like they had fake snow in there. I'm thinking that must have been part of that show that took over. I don't remember.
Interesting.
Yeah, so in Magic Kingdom, this is located in Fantasyland in the former spot of Legend of the Lion King, which replaced Magic Journeys, which replaced Mickey Mouse Revue, which was an opening day attraction. And it's situated between the exit of the Peter Pan attraction and the Fantasy Fair shop.
I always think it's so weirdly placed. Like, I don't expect that to be a theater. I just think it's weird. Is that just me?
No, I mean, I'm just wondering what else would they put there. I'm looking at the equivalent of where it is if it were in Disneyland, and it's like the space of Snow White and Pinocchio, I guess. So if it were Disneyland and it wasn't a theater, they would just put a little dark ride in there and call it a day, like an
True.
old-fashioned dark ride. So I guess that's probably the only thing they could squeeze in there at this point.
All right. Well, I think a lot of things about Magic Kingdom are weird because I am so used to Disneyland. So
I
I
feel
don't
you on
know.
that. I mean, I love Magic Kingdom, but growing up at Disneyland, some things just feel a little off
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
And I think part of it is that that stretch of Fantasyland feels so tight and closed off to me.
I
Like
can see how that is. Like, it's the squeeze between the carousel and the buildings.
Yeah, that's exactly it, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. And you know what? Now that you mention that, when we run Disney races through there, you run towards the back of the castle from Be Our Guest, and they always pick the left side opposite Philharmagic. So I wonder if, obviously they got to make mileage count. But I wonder if that left side is wider and that's why they use that side as opposed to the right side. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyways, now that we've talked about weird things, let's talk about the queue and exterior for these attractions.
Yeah, so in Magic Kingdom, it takes place in kind of like a fantasy-themed circus tent, and it has the kingdom's most magical review as its tagline. And to me, they spell review R-E-V-U-E, which is how Mickey Mouse Review was spelled. So to me, that's like a little nod to the past attraction. And there's a figurine of Mickey as a conductor on top of the facade. The indoor queue has plenty of switchbacks, which, to be honest, every time I've been there, they've been completely unused, so you bypass them. And it has posters advertising concerts and singers like Hades Torch Songs and Ariel's choral group. And then you'll be directed to grab the 3D opera glasses on your left as you descend to the theater waiting area. The doors to the theater have music notes on them, and there's really elegant chandeliers up above, like they're really playing up the whole you're going to the opera thing. And the motif in there is dark blue and gold.
So taking a few steps back, Ariel's choral group, I'm sure I've seen that poster before, and I'm looking at you having written the text in this Google Doc, but I did not understand the joke until you said it out loud with the emphasis on choral.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a failure on my part or if it's a failure on Disney's part, but somebody failed here.
I think it's you.
All right. At DCA, there are music posters in the backlot style seating area for award winners as you walk in. You can also find a billboard advertising Mickey's Philharmagic featuring Maestro Mickey Mouse and the Enchanted Philharmagic Orchestra. As you enter the building, the box office says the show is sold out. You go through a hallway with more posters. Then to the waiting area that has a Donald photo op that is not a character meet and greet. And there are TV screens above with music note animation. Minnie and Goofy give everyone safety reminders and let guests know when the doors will open. And once those doors do open, into the theater you go. And the motif is deep red and gold. A little more Mickey Mouse colors, but...
Yeah, I think it's interesting how they went with gold and like these deep colors. They're in both cases, to me, they're trying to make it seem like an elegant theater experience, like you're really going to the opera. So I appreciate that. So the music in the area in the queue is the same for both of them. It's like classic Disney movie music, like music from Fantasia, really stringy, classical style music.
And there's no ride vehicles for these. You're sitting in a theater chair.
Yes. So let's talk about the general storyline for this show. First of all, it's a 4D film, not just 3D, 4D, because it has 3D effects, scents, water, air. You'll feel a lot of stuff. And it's about a 12-minute show. So as you enter the theater, Goofy, who is the stage manager, welcomes you in as you take your seat. In the Magic Kingdom version, you'll see a gold archway with musical instruments surrounding a red drape, and then there's blue drapes on the outside of that golden archway, and the blue drapes have musical instruments projected onto them. Goofy goes to check on Donald, but can't find him. He trips over a cat and then plugs something in that's been unplugged and gets himself electrocuted.
Who
Typical
let the cat
Goofy
backstage?
Stuff. Yeah, come on. That's what I'm wondering too.
Safety hazard.
Once everyone's seated, Minnie Mouse gives some safety reminders and tells everyone to put on their opera glasses. And then the show starts. In the beginning of the show, Donald is instructed by Mickey not to touch the hat, but he does anyway because he's Donald and that's what he does. And that's when the chaos begins. The instruments play themselves really horribly out of tune, and Donald just cannot get the instruments under control, and they attack him in some sort of musical storm. As the storm is going on, the golden archway on the stage disappears, and the screen is magically wider when Donald comes back on screen. And from there, we're taken through a number of musical performances. So we have Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast, The Sorcerer's Apprentice from Fantasia, Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid, I Just Can't Wait to Be King from The Lion King, and Poco Loco from Coco, which is in every version except for Hong Kong Disneyland. You Can Fly from Peter Pan, and A Whole New World from Aladdin. And throughout the movie, Donald is just trying to get the sorcerer's hat back. Eventually, Mickey shows up as the instruments are once again attacking Donald. Mickey takes the hat back and directs the instruments, who fall into place, and they play Who's Leader of the Club That's Made for You and Me? And it does that whole thing. And then Donald is launched into the back of the theater, and we turn around and we can see his little animatronic feet wiggling through the curtains.
So before we move on, I'm just curious, what is your favorite scene from this?
I was going to ask you the same thing, actually. My favorite is I Just Can't Wait to Be King.
That was my answer too. I think it's really colorful and vibrant. I think it harkens back to the original movie really well. Yeah. I think it plays into the 3D really well, and the surrounding you really well as well.
Yes, I would totally agree with that. My other favorite is Be Our Guest, just because it's a fun song and I think it's animated very well too.
My least favorite, I think, is actually A Whole New World, because it's Donald intruding on this, what should be this private, intimate moment between Aladdin and Jasmine, and it's just really weird.
I don't like Part of Your World all that much. I don't like when Ariel, reaches out to the screen. She looks creepy to me. I know she's animated by the original animator, but the image of her hands and her face just reaching out, I'm like, stop. I don't want to see you like this.
All right. Well, at DCA, the storyline is the same as Magic Kingdom. Goofy welcomes you, gives you safety reminders. You have red drapes on the screen and on the sides of the theater, but it is missing the gold archway that Magic Kingdom has. Goofy does the same routine. The cast member welcomes you in and gives safety reminders, and Minnie Mouse tells you to put on opera glasses. The screen starts out with blue drapes surrounding a smaller screen up until Donald is attacked in the musical storm. The action on the screen takes up the entire screen in the show, and at the end it shrinks back down to the smaller screen surrounded by blue drapes, and you get the Donald feet animatronic in the back, just like Magic Kingdom, where there used to be a cannon!
Yes, from the good old days.
Yes.
Yeah, the screen in DCA is a lot smaller. It's not that 150-foot wide thing. So the beginning portion, before they scale it up, is not even half of the size of the screen. It's just so small. Yeah. All right. For the exit queue for Magic Kingdom, you head up and to the right. There's only one exit that everybody's funneled into, and you drop your glasses off in the bins, and there's a gift shop on the right, and you can head to Fantasyland straight ahead.
At DCA, there are as many exit doors as there were entry doors, that is to say, several. You go down the same ramp, drop off your glasses, and out the right into Hollywoodland.
There are no height requirements for either one of these.
As for fireworks and other nighttime shows, we think it's open at Magic Kingdom, but haven't been able to confirm it, and it is open at DCA during World of Color.
They're both open during the rain. Magic Kingdom version does offer Lightning Lane. DCA version does not. And of course, no single rider.
Yeah, but there's nothing stopping you from seeing this show on your own if you're there at the park solo, or no one else in your party wants to go. All right, so we have the facts laid out for this attraction, so that means it's time for the final showdown. Does one side stand out above the crowd, CJ?
Actually, yes, it does. I really like the Magic Kingdom version a lot better than the DCA version, and it's strictly because the DCA version feels so shoehorned into that space.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Magic Kingdom is in a theater that was built for this, where at DCA it's in a theater that was built for the Muppets.
Yeah.
And it shows. It
Yeah.
really shows.
Yeah. Like they literally just covered things up with paint, you know?
Yeah.
I also think that California Adventure and Hollywoodland specifically is not the place for this attraction. I'm not sure where it would go in the Disneyland Resort. Like, this might just not be a Disneyland Resort attraction. But when I think California Adventure, I don't necessarily think Mickey and Minnie. I think different types of adventures with different characters. I think Mickey and Minnie in my brain are more affiliated with Disneyland, but I don't think that this would work anywhere in Disneyland. What are your thoughts?
I think the best place for it would be somewhere in Toontown,
Yeah.
where you already have Mickey and Minnie and Donald and Goofy and all of them, frankly. But I agree with you that I don't think that every attraction at Park A has to exist at Park B. Like,
Right.
I don't think we need to continue to duplicate things. It's fine for some parks to have unique attractions.
Yeah. I agree with that. All right. Shall we move on to our next attraction?
Not yet, because I also have one more thing to say. I would obviously, if you haven't picked up on it, I would obviously prefer for that the Muppets were still there. I understand its placement in Hollywoodland because Mickey and Minnie and, all of the original Walt Disney animated characters have a very important part in Hollywood history. So for them to be in Hollywoodland, I understand that.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I would agree.
Now we can move on to Runaway Railway. We will start with
Yes.
CJ's favorite thing about the Hollywood Studios version.
This is a really solid attraction for families at this park. As somebody with 2 young kids, we have a hard time going to Hollywood Studios because there's not that much for families. There is stuff for families, but as far as rides go, like there's 3 rides that are good for families.
So my favorite thing does apply to both. Trackless is the future. Like, I love the implementation of the trackless ride technology. I think it's really well done.
Yeah. And at Disneyland, my favorite part is it fits really, really well into Toontown thematically. It is a great transition into the Toon world. So, yeah.
The queue at the Disneyland Runaway Railway is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It is what all new queues should strive for.
I agree.
Just think it's fantastic.
Yep, I agree.
So, when did Runaway Railway open at Hollywood Studios, CJ?
It had the unfortunate opening date of March 4th, 2020. So it was only open for maybe 2 weeks, probably less than that, before nobody got to ride it again until the summer.
Yeah, didn't go over too well. That's okay. Not Disney's fault. At Disneyland, it soft opened on January 25th, 2023, and full opened January 26th, 2023. It's almost a year old.
That's right.
It will be a year old by the time we release this.
We have a lot of fun facts for this ride that apply to both of them. So do you want to take turns, alternate the fun facts?
Sure. This is the first Mickey Mouse themed ride at a Disney park.
Yay! So there's a little bird. His name's Chubby, and he was created exclusively for this attraction.
Walt Disney Imagineering worked with Paul Rudish and Joseph Holt, who are an executive producer and art director for the Mickey Mouse shorts, to make sure the ride looked cartoonish enough.
Christopher Willis, who was the composer for the Mickey Mouse shorts, composed the soundtrack and co-wrote the song Nothing Can Stop Us Now with his wife, Elise Willis. And if you have not heard that song, you should go listen to it.
It's very cute. This attraction features several sound effects created by Disney legend Jimmy McDonald, who is the original head of the Disney sound effects department and was the second voice of Mickey Mouse. These sound effects were used for Disney animated shorts dating back to the 30s, and there were some new effects still developed using his original equipment.
The locomotive whistle for the train, the little toot toot that it does, basically they took the tritone whistle from Mickey Mouse's original Steamboat Willie cartoon in 1928 and recorded that locomotive whistle sound that you hear on the ride.
And there are so many other Easter eggs in this attraction. That is just one of them. There, honestly, are probably more than the internet has even uncovered.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. And not just on the ride, but in the queue itself.
And on to Hollywood Studios, CJ.
So I have a couple of fun facts just for Hollywood Studios. The Disney television animation, that's like a group. It's like Walt Disney Imagineering or Walt Disney Animation. It's another group within Disney. They created 10 new posters that appear in the queue. 9 of them were for existing Mickey Mouse shorts, and one of them was for Perfect Picnic. And then in the fairground scene, you'll see a poster for the Great Moving Ride, which is a nod to the old attraction in that space, the Great Movie Ride.
At Disneyland, Minnie worked with the Toontown Hysterical Society to put together an exhibit, Mickey Mouse Through the Ears, in the attractions queue to celebrate the premiere of the new film, Perfect Picnic. The poster in the carnival scene references 5 for a Dime tickets, which is a nod to the old 5 and Dime shop in Toontown. The cash registers at the concession stand in the queue say $11.18 and $19.28, aka the premiere date for Steamboat Willie and Mickey Mouse's birthday. So that's just one of those Easter eggs. Make sure that when you're at the concession stands, you look at all the suites and check out their names and just pick up on the little Easter eggs there. The condiment pumps at the concession stand are branded Begora Orchards, which is a reference to Patrick Begora, the little man of Disneyland. According to the 1955 Little Golden Book of the same name, he lived in an orange orchard that Disneyland now sits on, and he moved into the roots of a tree in Adventureland, and yes, you can see his home.
Mm-hmm. It's really
cute. If you know where to look. Yep.
In Hollywood Studios, this ride is located in Hollywood Boulevard in Grauman's Chinese Theater. Straight ahead, it's the very first attraction that you see.
And at Disneyland, it is in Toontown in the El Capitan Theater. Basically, if you walk straight ahead when you get into Toontown, you'll see it. You can't miss it.
Mm-hmm. As far as the queue goes, the Hollywood Studios version of this ride, there's a lot of outdoor portions. Well, it depends what time of day you go. Most of the day, there's going to be an outdoor queue. And just to warn you, it's on concrete and a lot of it is uncovered, or there's, a few umbrellas here and there. It gets hot in that queue.
Yeah.
You've been warned. The covered portion does have fans here and there, which is really nice and helpful. But basically, you'll wind around some switchbacks and head into the theater. And if you look down below at your feet outside of the theater, you'll see handprints from various celebrities. Into the theater you go, and it has the Chinese theater motif throughout. It's actually very elegant and really pretty, in my opinion. But you'll wind around and you'll see some of those digital posters, which I referenced earlier, of various cartoons. And there's lots of winding around until you're grouped into a theater. So the theater is the pre-show, and it helps you get into the cartoon world of Mickey and his pals. And that theater area, again, has the theming of the Chinese theater. Once you are done watching the pre-show, you're in the cartoon world, and you're welcomed by Goofy. And you're at a wooden train station, and you take a couple switchbacks heading to Runaway Park trains, and then you'll board the train.
At Disneyland, the overwhelming majority of the queue is in the El Capitan Theater lobby. If it's very busy, the queue might go outside. I have not seen this, though, on either time that I've been on. Granted, it's been only twice, so your mileage may vary. This queue, it's a masterful job of hiding the queue. You can only see the room that you're in, so you don't really know how many people are ahead of you. It's really, really well done.
It actually reminded me of the queue to meet Mickey in Toontown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
It also, at times, reminds me of the queue for Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure at Universal Studios, because that's another one where they do a really good job of hiding how long the queue actually is. But I think that Runaway Railway is much more dynamic and engaging than the Hagrid ride, because, in Hagrid, you just get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, it's another room. It's not the entrance. Where at Runaway Railway, you're like, oh my gosh, another room, and look at all the stuff that there is to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, some of those things that you look at, the first room, there's a whole bunch of movie posters for High School Gooficle 3, The Absent-Minded Professor Von Drake. It's new spins on classic Disney films, and I just called High School Musical 3 a classic, so do with that what you will. Then you enter the Mickey Through the Ears exhibit. It's basically a museum of artifacts from Mickey Mouse media, starting all the way with the Steamboat Wheel from Steamboat Willie and going through Mickey history up to the modern day shorts. You have like a potato set from Potato Land. You have like the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse set. You have Mousercise and literally everything.
They had Toodles. They had
Toodles.
Or was that? Or wait, was that the machine? I don't remember. It was something. There is something from Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. It's like the gear thing that turns at the beginning of the show. Yeah, it was cool.
And then basically you have these. From there, it's the same experience as Hollywood Studios, where you have the theater with the pre-show and into the cartoon world and the train station where you board the train.
Yep. So the music in the area for Hollywood Studios, it's like fanciful Mickey music. It's, kind of light and happy and airy. And of course, Nothing Can Stop Us Now.
Yeah, I didn't actually listen to any of the music from Hollywood Studios, so I don't know if it's the exact same, but what I wrote down for Disneyland is it's instrumental and it sounds like the music you'd hear from older Mickey cartoons, but like cleaned up, remastered, re-recorded in 2020 instead of, from the 1930s.
Right.
So.
Cool. So the ride vehicle is the same for each of them. There's a train engine, which has no guests in it. That's what Goofy's driving. And then there's 4 train cars with 2 rows of seating. And each row could probably seat like 5 to 6, depending on your party makeup. And there is a shared lap bar.
When I had a party of 6 adults, they split us 3 and 3.
Okay. Yeah. I think you could do like 3 adults and 3 kids if you wanted to.
I think that'd be a tight squeeze. I don't think they would do more than 4 to a row.
With lap sitters, though.
Oh, are you allowed to lap sit if you're a child?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, I lap sat one of my kids, maybe both of them. I don't remember. Okay, so let's talk about the general storyline, and it's going to be the same for Disneyland. So you're in the park on a beautiful day with Goofy driving the train. He comes on the intercom to make sure we can hear him, and we enter a cave as Goofy welcomes us to a relaxing ride around the park. Mickey and Minnie show up on a car. They say hi to Goofy, but they've hit the track switch and the train jumps the track and runs away through different scenes. We depart from the engine at this point and we are on the runaway train. So we go through a Western scene, a fairgrounds scene, and then a twister comes through. And then you're on to the next scene where it's tropical underwater adventures, and then a busy city scene, dancing lessons with Daisy, and then on to the factory where you're on a conveyor belt about to be smushed. Mickey and Minnie come by, they save the day, they shut off the machine, and the room transforms to the park. At the end, you're reunited with Goofy, who tells us that concludes his guided tour. And by this point, it's nighttime, and we can see Mickey, Minnie, and Pluto picnicking under the fireworks, singing Nothing Can Stop Us Now.
Cute.
Mm-hmm.
When you exit the attraction at Disneyland, you exit through the gift shop, which sells both generic Disney merchandise and Mickey, Minnie, Runaway Railway merchandise.
Yeah, so for Hollywood Studios, you head outside and you'll see a small glorified gift cart on the right with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway merchandise. And otherwise, you're still in that Hollywood Boulevard area.
There are no height requirements for this attraction.
During the fireworks at Hollywood Studios, I believe this ride is open. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. It's closed at Disneyland during the fireworks.
Yep, because it's in Toontown and that's where they launched the fireworks from. So really can't have it open.
Right.
Both parks, this is open during the rain, and they both have Lightning Lane. Though, no, it's off ILL at Disneyland.
Yeah, it's just part of Genie Plus now.
Yeah.
And they both do not have single rider.
All right, so facts are now laid out, so it's time for the final showdown. I mentioned at the end of the last episode that I already had opinions formed about all of these. So you may have figured out how I feel, but CJ, how do you feel?
The Disneyland version takes the cake for me just based on the queue being so much better. I like the Chinese theater motif, especially because they're going for like a movie premiere and they're premiering a short, right? Mm-hmm. So it makes sense, but I just think Disneyland executes it better.
Yeah. Hollywood Studios, they did work with what they had. They weren't going to take down the park icon and put something new in its place. But you're totally right. Fully agree with you. Disneyland's queue is the ultimate queue experience. It's
so funny to me because usually it's the opposite. Usually Magic Kingdom and Disney World have the better queues.
Yeah. I mean, This is a better queue than Rise of the Resistance. It's better queue than, Millennium Falcon. It is hands down the best queue in Disneyland and maybe in all of the Disney parks.
I don't know if I would agree that it's better than Rise, but it's really good.
Okay. Rise of the Resistance, until you get to a certain point, you're mostly looking at rocks.
Okay, fair point. Yeah, but the excitement of seeing the stormtroopers may outweigh
Yes,
the general goodness,
to me, that is no longer part of the queue, and that's part of the attraction.
Okay,
so
that's fair. That's fair.
All right, well, clear winner, Disneyland on that one. Sorry, Hollywood Studios.
Yep.
So moving on, we have our oddball attraction, the Silly Symphony Swings at California Adventure. CJ, why are we talking about this?
Well, it's a Mickey ride, and we're gonna rate them.
Weak argument there, but we'll get through this.
Also, I'd like to contest Disney's claim that Mickey Minnie Runaway Railway was the first ride based on Mickey, like that included Mickey, because this definitely includes Mickey, and it's a ride.
Thank you for clarifying that second part. I wasn't sure about that.
Well, okay, but like Philharmagic is an attraction based on Mickey, but it's not a ride. So they can't claim Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway was the first attraction based on Mickey because it wasn't. So what about Silly Symphony Swings?
They are claiming that, though.
No, they're claiming it's the first ride based on Mickey and Minnie. I'm saying they can't say...
You changed that there. You said Mickey and Minnie.
Yeah, but what they're saying...
Not just Mickey.
Okay, listen to what I'm saying, though. They're saying Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is the first ride based on Mickey and Minnie. They can't say that it's the first attraction based off Mickey and Minnie because it's not. Philharmagic would be.
Okay, yes, I'm with you.
Okay, but I think they're wrong in claiming it's the first ride based on Mickey and Minnie, because what about Silly Symphony Swings?
Where does Minnie appear in the Silly Symphony Swings?
Oh, I see what you're saying. The light bulb just clicked for me. Okay. I still think it's a little cheap for them to make that claim. I don't know. I think they were trying to hype that ride up a lot. It is a very good ride, but they just wanted another tagline to add in there. So they're like, we'll say it's based off Mickey and Minnie.
All right. Well, with all that out in the open, light bulbs on, air cleared. What's your favorite thing about the Silly Symphony Swings, CJ?
I don't know if what I said made sense. It's getting late. It may not have made sense. What I like about this ride is that it's just fun. I think sometimes Disney likes to get really into the story and they kind of lose the sense of fun, which isn't a bad thing necessarily because they're very good storytellers. But sometimes it's okay to just have a ride that's just fun.
All right. Some people would disagree with you on the fun factor of that. I know one of my friends in particular would, but that's okay. My favorite thing about the Silly Symphony Swings is that you can see a lot when you're up there. You get a really good view. And I know you're gonna be like, oh, Allie, but you don't like heights. Yeah, okay, but I feel safe up there and nothing is plummeting me down to the earth at a rapid speed. So it's a safe way to get a good view.
Unless one of the chains snaps.
Don't you wish that on anybody, CJ.
I won't. I did have a friend in high school who lost his cell phone on that ride. I think it went flying out of his pocket and we never found it.
Wow. Should have used those baskets, dude.
Yep, should have used the baskets.
All right. So the Silly Symphony Swings opened. They had their soft opening on, I wrote Mary 28th. I think that's supposed to say May 28th, 2010. Not Mary. And the full opening was June 11th, 2010. However, this was actually an opening day attraction when it was the Orange Stinger. That was open from February 8th, 2001 to August 14th, 2009. And they just rethemed it to Silly Symphony.
Yeah. Okay, so some fun facts. This is based off, the attraction is called Silly Symphony Swings, and it's, it ties into the band concert. However, the band concert isn't actually part of the Silly Symphony series. The original attraction, the Orange Stinger, if you haven't seen it, you should go look at it because it's literally a giant orange.
Yep.
The seats had to be replaced after just 2 days because of damage. And if I recall correctly, there were like literally little stingers on the back of the seats.
Yeah, they were bee themed.
Yes. Yeah, and then they were unthemed seats after 2 days. There used to be an orange smell in that ride, but they got rid of it because it attracted real bees. They put the stinger in the orange stinger.
Oh no, not the bees!
I just think it's
Not
so
the
funny.
bees!
I think it's so funny.
I can tell. This attraction is located at DCA in Paradise Gardens Park across from Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta.
As far as the queue goes, this ride takes place on the second story, so you head upstairs or up the elevator if you need to the second level. And if you're in a tandem swing, you'll be kind of placed into a different waiting corral once you get to the top. On the bottom level, there is some covered seating with some benches and posters from the band concert and other cartoons. That's a really nice place to sit and have a quiet moment in the park overlooking the bay out there. Make sure before you get on your seat, you drop off loose items in the boxes or along the fence, as you can't really take anything like a backpack with you. And if you have sandals that are not securely on your feet, you are going to want to take those off.
And as far as music goes, this is to the William Tell Overture, which is same as the cartoon, the band concert, and William Tell's Storm.
There are 48 individual chairs on this ride, however, some of them are tandem.
As far as the storyline goes, it is based on the 1935 short The Band Concert, which features Mickey Mouse as a conductor trying to keep the orchestra playing while a tornado whisks them into the sky. As the main column of the ride rises and lifts you up, you see artwork from the Silly Symphony Swings from the band concert. CJ put Silly Symphony Swings on here, but it's artwork from the band concert. And the whole ride takes 90 seconds of tilting and spinning before you are set free. And by that, I mean lowered to the ground and you can step out of the swing, not that you're released and launched into the park.
Wow, okay.
We're having an evening tonight.
We are. So when it's time to exit the ride, make sure you grab your stuff from the baskets and you just head down the stairs. And you're basically back where you started.
Yep. And as far as height requirements go, you need to be 40 inches tall to ride in a tandem swing with an adult, or 48 inches tall to ride in a solo swing.
So I was trying to find out if this is closed during World of Color, and the verbiage on the Disney website says, on some nights, Silly Symphony Swings closes early to accommodate World of Color performances.
As far as rain goes, the Disneyland Resort website says it'll be open during the rain, but it likely depends on how hard the rain is. If it's a light sprinkle, okay, sure. But if it's like a torrential downpour, they might close it.
Yeah. And honestly, you probably don't want to be on it when it's raining because they feel like little pellets hitting your face and it does not feel good.
Not fun.
No lightning lane for this and no single rider for this either. All right, for the showdown, since this does not have an equivalent, what we are doing is rating the 5 Mickey and Minnie attractions that we discussed today. Philharmagic at both coasts, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway at both coasts, and Silly Symphony Swings. I think we should take a moment to pause and write down our ratings, and then we will discuss them.
Yep, and I will edit out the pause, so doodle-doo-doodle-doodle-doo. And we're back. Which of us is going first?
You can go first.
All right, number 1, easy winner, is the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Disneyland. It's an original story. The queue really knocks it out of the park, figuratively. It's just really, really good.
Yeah, that's my number 1 as well. I think it really fits into the story of Toontown very well. It puts you in that Toon world, which is where you're supposed to be in Toontown, and it's a fun ride with a great queue.
Is my number 2 next? Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
All right. My number 2 is Runaway Railway at Hollywood Studios. You just can't beat the trackless ride experience for me.
For my number 2, it's Silly Symphony Swings. It's the band concert, and this ride is in Paradise Gardens Park. I think about concerts at parks during the summer, and it fits in well, especially with kind of the old-timey seaside park theming they have going on. And I think, we can talk about DCA Philharmagic and Runaway Railway at Hollywood in a second, but when they undid the Orange Stinger, they like tore down the structure and they redid a lot of it to make it feel like a whole new attraction instead of just like painting it. Yeah.
There's no more orange peel.
Right.
The orange got fully peeled.
Yes, it did.
Well, my number 3 is the Silly Symphony Swings. It is still good and it tells a classic Disney Mickey story. But it is kind of a dull, like, ride experience. Like, you sit on a swing and you spin around in circles. Like, that is so... It's so last century, CJ.
Well, I think that's
last century.
I think that's the point, given where it's geographically located.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. But also, not everybody can ride the Silly Symphony Swings, and everybody, no matter how tall or short they are, can ride Runaway Railway.
Okay, fair enough. My number 3 is Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway at Hollywood Studios. It's, just like Disneyland, a solid ride. I think what would put it over the edge for me over Silly Symphony Swings is if they did more with the queue. Yes, they're not going to tear down the Chinese theater. That's, the park icon, essentially. They're not going to tear that down. However, the inside of the queue, yes, they have those posters that were designed for this, but like that's kind of about it. Like the Chinese theater artwork is beautiful, but it doesn't really help tell the story in the same way that the Disneyland version does, the queue.
In the number 4 spot, we have Magic Kingdom Philharmagic. I'm not the biggest fan of Philharmagic, but given the choice between the two of them, I would pick Magic Kingdom every time, not just because I'm salty about the Muppets going away, but because it's in a theater that was purpose-built for it.
Number 4 is the same for me, Philharmagic and Magic Kingdom, and you basically stole the words out of my mouth.
Which leaves both of us with the number 5 of DCA Philharmagic. Bring back the Muppets. That's where they belong. That's what I was also going to say about Philharmagic. It doesn't feel like a Mickey Mouse attraction. It feels like a Donald Duck attraction and a Beauty and the Beast attraction and a Little Mermaid attraction and a Coco attraction and a Peter Pan attraction. Like, you get so little actual Mickey Mouse time, and it's billed as a Mickey Mouse thing, and you end up, like, I at least end up walking out of there feeling disappointed, going, well, I got like 15 seconds of Mickey Mouse and that's it.
Yeah, I see what you mean. This is not really my favorite attraction either, and I just don't really like shows to begin with. I mean, I like shows, but I'd rather do rides at the end of the day. And the Philharmagic at DCA, it really just feels like they slapped it on. Like, it doesn't feel well thought out. They very obviously shoehorned it into a space that was not meant for this. So, yeah, I think they could do a lot better in that theater personally, but I also understand bringing it to Disneyland somewhere. I just don't think they did it well.
Yeah. Yeah, bring back the Muppets. That's all.
That's our ratings.
Yep. And I think that about wraps it up for this episode, unless there's anything else that you wanted to say, CJ.
I'm going to play Pal World after this.
I'm probably going to play Stardew Valley and eat chocolate after this.
Nice.
All right, well, thank you all for listening, or if you're on YouTube, thank you all for watching. Hi! You can find us on YouTube, Park2Park Podcast. We're also on Instagram at Park2Park Pod with the number 2. You can leave us a comment, send us an Instagram message. You can also send us an email, park2parkpod@gmail.com. Tell us what you thought about the episode. Do you like Philharmagic? Maybe come talk to us about that. See if you can convert us into liking Philharmagic with your opinions. Let us know. We'd love to have you as a guest. That's right, you. I'm talking to you specifically. Tell your friends about the podcast. Tell your enemies about the podcast. CJ, what's our next episode?
It'll be all about my visit to Disneyland.
Yes, where you rode Runaway Railway for the first time at Disneyland.
I sure did.
And you also ran an actual half marathon this time.
Yes, I did. True facts.
Yep.
All right. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever time of day it is. I hope it is wonderful for you.
See you next time.
Bye.